Alright, welcome to the start of a new anime review series. This is my review for Demon Lord 2099. Yep. This show it started roughly 6 months ago. It concluded 2 months after that. We're here discussing the first 2 episodes. This series is quite interesting to say the least. It is overall the third type of series, well, they do this where start fantasy and then go to a futuristic setting. Well, let's talk about it. We start off basically where, we have this war going between mortals and immortals. And I wonder if this is our name for demons. Because, by the way, the name demon, despite the character is called a demon lord, they're not called demons, they're just simply immortals because they can't frickin' die. So, they battle back and forth. We have the hero named Graham where battles, the leader, his name is Vitel. By the way, his real name is Vitel Velvet Vasovit. Yes, that is seriously the guy's name. I'm surprised no one calls him Triple V. So, they battle, and then of course Graham beats him. But yeah, you're good, and of course he disappears. And then, this is kind of weird. And then he wakes up, and he's revived in present day, but he's like, oh, you're in Sengoku Station. He's like, what is that? So, apparently about 80 years, they mentioned about 500 years have passed by since his death, and then about 80 years since this happened, where somehow the fantasy world he's from and the real world got fused into one. Now, I thought this was interesting because, to my knowledge, this has never actually happened before in any anime that I had come across. Yes, they've had fantasy characters pop up in the real world, obviously. That's nothing new. That's happened a few times. But not the whole world, when they kind of merge into one, and then there was sort of this prejudice of immortal for a while, and then it got died out pretty quickly because of wars, and it had been 80 years. And also, he is revived by one of his vassals, Manakana. Now, by the way, Vitel in the English dub is voiced by Ian St. Clair, a guy who I met 2 years ago. Actually, I met him last year, I think it was. Yes, last year. It was at Manakana. He's awesome at me in person. I thought was quite interesting to me. I love meeting the guy. So, and his subordinate is voiced by Sarah Winehouse, who I just saw 2 months ago. And that was the first time I'd seen her in a few years. She looked absolutely fantastic when I saw her. I told her she looked amazing. She gave me a hug afterwards. Make her the only voice actress to ever give me a hug. Well, female anyways, because I expected one for the guys. Nope. Yeah. Of course, like all the voice actors who I meet, all of them pretty much shorter than me, except for Sean Schimmel. Yes, Sean Schimmel is by far the only voice actor who's taller than me. Heck, believe it or not, Todd Heppercorn, I'm like 2 inches taller than he is. But yet, every single voice actor I've ever met all tend to be shorter than I am. You know the shortest I've met is? It's not Sarah Winehouse. Oh no. The shortest was Jill Harris. Yeah, she's the shortest one I've met in person. But anyways. So they do go a flashback how they first met. Where basically it's like, oh, you're going to give me mind, body, and soul. It's like... And the way she took it, it's almost like she kind of fell in love with him. And they also mentioned, okay, so there's this thing in the back of her neck called a familia, which is the device they can also use magic. I'm like, this is interesting. So, it's a mixture of magic and technology. Okay, now this is kind of new-ish, because I think some series have played around the idea of kind of mixing technology with magic. I would say the closest coming to it for a series I've seen that's anime-based is probably No More Smartphone. That's possible, but that's the closest I could think of. But not where basically it's a device on the back of your neck, like it's a freaking microchip. By the way, the whole thing with shit back in the neck thing, at least some kind of chip in someone's body, This is nothing new. This is even happened in American fiction. One of the most famous examples of this, I think it was a British movie called Equilibrium, with Christian Bale, where apparently having an emotion is a crime. Yes, seriously. But sometimes it's not like the back of the neck and the spine. Usually sometimes they have chips like in the sides of their neck, but never on the spine. That I thought was quite interesting. Kind of like almost like a small hairpin. It can also act as little screens. Now, this I have seen before, the whole screens thing with the technology in the one's body. This, believe it or not, was actually I did see in Picard. Yes, in the show Star Trek Picard, they had something like this too, with this 3D holodeck technology. And you see somebody who doesn't have it, it's like they're touching air. It looks weird, but when they show the person doing it, yeah, they're touching screens. So they expect, oh yeah, it's all technology. He has like no idea. By the way, he basically arrives the president in the same armor he died in originally. Of course, he tries to cast a spell. Apparently, grand magic spells are banned inside of a city, and the whole sky is covered by smog. Yeah, this was really weird. Now, as for who caused the smog, don't know. And he mentioned about various ones. One who apparently died, and he mentioned about Marcus. And it's like don't want to talk about him. And then she leaves to get some food, and then he runs into a woman wearing a Chinese garb. They don't reveal her name until the next episode. And apparently he can see what she can do because he can actually get his eyes detect mana stuff. By the way, the next episode would show he actually touches the thing on Makana's neck and the other girl's neck in next episode 2, the familiar stuff. He goes visit Marcus in his humongous skyscraper. Because apparently 80 years he's become a businessman. And then he goes inside and is like, I'm here to see your boss, Marcus. And then we see a smoking hot secretary, which her name is Kenora. They also have this weird creature they're trying to market, which this I thought was interesting. A show's original character, like creatures that for marketing purposes, it's like this show's version of Hello Kitty. And then he goes visit his former subordinate, and he is a dick to him. He's like, oh, come down and worship me, and yeah, worship him, and it's like, no, I've always despised you. And then he tries attacking him, but apparently his magic is weak. Yeah, they do explain the reason why, because apparently the familiar tech actually makes magic stronger in people. And apparently Marcus made the damn thing. But yet, here's the weird thing. Apparently, he somehow made it where he's not compatible with the Demon Lord. Why the heck this is? Now, I get figure he doesn't like the guy. But how did he configure that? He's also immortal too. This makes no freaking sense at all about this. And then they fight, and of course, then he falls out of the building. He survives. Barely. And they just wrestle the guys up. And then, of course, Melikana finally finds him, of course. And then she eventually takes back to her apartment. It's like, oh, this must be your, like, oh, this is your castle. And you're like, no, my apartment's up here. And you get inside, and it's a tiny apartment. Now, this, what I can tell, is standard Japanese apartments. They're not like American apartments, which are very spacious. Japanese apartments, from what I can tell, even from someone who did a reaction video, these apartments are tiny. They're basically the equivalent of my bedroom plus 2 rooms. And that is it. Now, I have seen it where in the show, like, I think with Mr. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and Wonka Chan myself, where they actually have a decent apartment space. And apparently those are more expensive. This is what she could barely afford. It's like, oh, this is a foyer. And like, nope, it just is one room and this other room on the other side where you can sleep. And that's it. That's all she has. Because apparently her job doesn't pay too well. And she even suggests, because he wants to do a good job, because he has to rebuild his reputation. By the way, before I continue here, on the screen in the square, there's a VTuber. Now you're thinking, wait a minute, why the heck would an anime have a VTuber? And here's the weird thing about this VTuber. It speaks Japanese in an English dub. I thought this was really weird, seeing this. Yes, seriously. And I look at the character, I'm like, wait, did the animators borrow this from an actual VTuber? Because there was one VTuber, a friend of mine basically is a big fan of, and her appearance looked almost exactly like this character. Even sounds like it too, except she's in Japanese. There's one, I don't remember her name, basically. She had to change her name once. Those of you probably heard this VTuber had with her, where because she dares say a line that she's going to play Hogwarts Legacy, she got bullied to graduate, and then she just changed into a different VTuber. Yes. All because people had to do some cyberbullying to basically, all because she dares say she wanted to play Hogwarts Legacy. And I'm like, that is freaking stupid. Why the heck would you bully somebody just because they announced they want to play a video game? Like, I'd say, oh, I want to play, like let's say if I want to play that game, like, oh, am I going to get cyberbullied? It's freaking bullcrap what happened with her. Though she's doing perfectly fine now. So, he tries to get a job with the Common Workers Guild, which I'm surprised they have a guild in this modern setting. Also, they mentioned when apparently the fusion happened, all the little governments failed. Yes, seriously. All the little governments failed, and the cities are city-states. So basically, it's like the city, it's like its own country. So my guess is they're actually in Tokyo, presumably, though it's a very much a technological future type of one. I thought this was interesting. The look of it looks amazing. I've never seen a city look like this ever in any animation. Not even I'm the Evil World of Intergalactic Empire. Not even that show. This is like that show has a futuristic setting. Not even it's a futuristic setting. Now, the other thing I've seen like this is the buildings look very similar to this. Yes, I've heard of Cyberpunk. I've actually not seen. I've not played the game, so. But it's very similar to this. And the other thing I've actually seen that looks similar to this is actually the Cyberpunk style city from Kingonger. Yes, believe it or not, it's very similar to that. So he tries to get a job, but no one would hire him because he doesn't have a family. And the fact is like apparently his qualifications are fine, except that now they think he's probably making it up, but no, he actually told the truth. It's all because he doesn't have a familiar, so he needs to get a job. So then they contact the hacker. By the way, her name is Takashi. That's her name, Takashi. Where apparently she's a friend of Makana's. So look at hers. Apparently the eyes basically look at designs without really taking things about looking inside. And then she gets him a job as a VTuber. All because he wants to basically build his army. Now I'm thinking like, you do know you have to need a special camera because when they show it's like they show his face, and I would have probably created an avatar for him. Yes. But these two very interesting episodes. We're just starting the series off so far, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And can you have only 2 episodes in? It's like 10 more left of this stuff. Yeah. But I'm going to hold off and watch this for a little bit because, well, they did release a fun episode of Blue Exorcist, and I decided I'm going to watch it today. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and watch the next 2 episodes of this series, do a review for those 2 episodes, and then go ahead and do a little bit Empire, the Horror's Doing in the Dungeon, and then War Case Closed, and hopefully that'll be it. Okay? But please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do this like button. Okay? Bye.